Hey, Hal here. I want to talk a little bit about our partnership with OnX Hunt. I've been using it for a while now, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a very techie person, but the OnX app is it's a real time saver. I remember the days when we poured over topo maps everywhere we was going to go and stuff, and I don't do that quite as much anymore. Where it's really helped me is scouting, whether it's deer scouting, a moose, or even turkey hunting in the spring, which I do. It really helps out. I don't have to spend as much time running around the truck burning up the gas. I'm just basically using my OnX. Got it on my phone. Don't even carry a GPS anymore. So I just download the areas where I'm going to be hunting, whether it's up north moose hunting, and I use it mostly on the satellite imagery. I like to see the cuts and the clearings and the turkey hunting, the hidden fields and stuff. But everybody's using it now, from the game wardens to land surveyors, and just a great tool. And with our partnership with OnX, if you use a code BWB, you're going to receive 20% off on your first premium or elite memberships. And you just go to onxmaps.com/hunt. You'll be glad you did. Good luck on the trail.
This is the Big Woods Bucks Podcast. Come explore the big woods and timber in North America with your host, Maine Master Guide and deer tracking expert Hal Blood. Listen to Hal and co-hosts Lee Libby and Joe Cruzy as they unlock the secrets of big woods whitetails. Each episode will provide valuable insights in the tried and true system Hal has used for the last 40 years to scout, locate, and hunt mature big woods bucks. Listen and laugh as the crew discusses Hal's legendary adventures and learn how to apply a lifetime's worth of lessons from the big woods to your own hunting and outdoor adventures.
Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks Podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood, sitting down here at Parlin Lodge again. And, of course, Joe's here. He's always here.
Always here.
Yep. We got old guide Mike this morning.
Happy birthday to you.
Don't mention it.
Don't mention Hal's birthday, everybody. Happy birthday. Good morning.
I've always found when someone says something like that, Mike, they want you to... They're trying to draw it out.
He knew we were going to do something. He should have known that.
Should have left it alone. And we got good Lee here again.
Good morning.
Haven't heard from Bad Lee. Texted him, didn't hear back.
Good Lee is like 8 o'clock last night. Hey, you available tomorrow morning? Yep, I'll be there.
Same way with Guide Mike.
Yep. We know who we can count on, right, Hal?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, here we are. Rolling into summer here. It's only May, but it seems like it's summer already. It's almost like last year when it heated up. Remember last year? Geez, we got that. We had 80. I remember the last two clinics last year. It was like 86. And one day I think it almost cracked 90. It might have been 89 in late May. And then it cooled off for the rest of the summer. But hasn't been that warm, but it's warm enough where the leaves are popping, snow's gone, ice is out.
Seems like every podcast starts off with big woods weather.
Well, all my films do, so that's just me,
No, it's good. It's that week of rain we had, I could have done without. That kind of set back the outdoor plans, but this past week was nice.
Yeah, we lost some roads a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Cost everybody a lot of money.
Yeah, it was not. We lucked out over here with that. They got 5 or 6 inches of rain over the west there, Farmington and that way, I guess.
Yep.
But I think we might have had 2 in the night because I went scouting that next morning with Jameson there, and there was an inch of rain. It doesn't hardly do anything in the woods, but all them little runoffs in the woods on the ridges there, they were like torrential coming down to the ditches, and then any low spot, it was running across the road, and the culverts couldn't take it. So we must have got a couple inches here, but it was nice. We needed. If we didn't get that, we'd really have a dry spring because it was already before that. It was we didn't have any rain when the snow was melting, so everything was drying up. But anyway,
Yeah.
things are popping up now. The vegetation, it's really good for the deer and the moose both. They're getting green stuff already,
Yeah.
Fiddleheads are up. Pen picking yet, Mike?
No, I checked them yesterday actually, and you could get a feed, but there's not many yet.
Yeah.
They that rain washed over all of them,
Yeah.
So it's they're coming up kind of fast this year. So they're going to be here quick.
They're going to go by quick, too.
Yep.
You're going to have to get them all in a few days.
Yeah.
It must be, about a week behind Skowhegan area down central Maine?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were selling them last weekend down by the Eddy.
They're going by way down river there, down southern Maine. When I was turkey hunting down there, I noticed they were starting to go by down there. They were
all this past Monday, a few days ago, they were down to Rick's. They were going by. They were already 18 inches tall. They were all going by.
Now, are you one of these guys, Mike? Are you the traditional, your first trout feed, you got to have fiddleheads with it?
not so much the trout, turkey.
Yeah.
I like to have them with my
Turkey and
turkey.
fiddleheads?
Yeah, and
I like them with smelts,
yeah.
but the smelts come first, so you got to freeze them. But
Boy, they came on quick this year, huh? Wow.
I went smelting for the first time in I don't know when, and
How'd you do?
got my limit.
Yeah.
Deb
What is
was
it, a couple quarts?
2 quarts, yep.
Yeah.
Deb was tickled to death. She hadn't had smelts for years, but they were some good. She made us up. I split the 2 quarts, or she did, into 3 bags. It's just enough for us. She cooked them up, made homemade French fries with them,
You save any for our trout pond?
No.
You ever troll those up there? Holy cow! They like them pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been smelting.
You never
One
have?
thing, no, never been
Oh.
smelting. I know down here, Parlin's one of the hot spots everyone likes to hit when they start
they
running.
run late here.
Yeah,
And they're big. They used to be
yeah.
36 to a limit. It only took 36 smelts to make 2 quarts. They were about, it was 8 inches long, some a little bigger.
Did you guys get any jack smelts when you went the other day? The big
No,
ones?
the ones up there are, 4 or 5 inches, 3, 4, or 5 inches, something like that. 3 to 4, maybe, yeah. They're just right because you just nip the heads off. You can do it with your fingers or just nip the heads off and push they don't have hardly anything for guts in them anyway.
I was going to ask you that, too.
Yeah. We don't keep the females. You can tell the difference when you pick them up in the net. The females are slippery, and the males feel like a little texture on them.
You can feel the scales on the males.
Yeah.
So you go through and sort them?
When you reach in to pick them out of your net,
Yeah.
if you feel a shiny one, you just throw it back in. Everybody doesn't do it, but I do.
Yeah.
And just keep the males.
Yeah.
And but they're easy to tell. You pick them up. You feel them as soon as you touch them. You feel how they're slip. They feel almost like a chub. A chub is real slippery. But the males ain't. They're like gritty feeling on the outside.
My wife's going to be upset if she heard on the podcast that you said females were more slippery than males.
Hey, we're not the ones that made it that way,
Don't go there.
I've caught smelts on dry flies out here before. There's some big smelts in this pond right out here.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Joe said and I've caught them down here in Peelbrook.
That's where everyone
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
right there at the bridge. But
I've got a Memorial weekend there.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they're late.
That late.
I wouldn't.
I was going to say I wondered how the high water affected it, but it's already back down to normal.
Yeah,
now,
I don't think it matters, but they were always late there. And then in the other brook, if you go down to the, you can't go in there because, you could.
2 Mile Brook coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down here there's an outlet and there's an inlet at the same end down at the very end. One of them runs the one that runs down across the highway there.
Those are both inlets on the south end of the lake.
Yeah. 2 Mile Brook.
Yeah. Comes in by the beach down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that comes in by the beach, but the one down at the road, the water runs the other way.
No.
It doesn't?
Nope. Comes
I
in.
always thought it
Everything
did.
goes out.
Well, we
Parliament
always
Stream.
went to the second one. We always crossed the first one and went over to the second one.
Yep.
I didn't know they ran that 2 Mile Brook. They run that too, huh?
Yeah, they do. A bunch of guys used to go there, and I tried it a couple times, and I didn't get any, and they weren't running, and I quit going. Then I tried Peelbrook there, and I think I went, in the evening, but it was already light, and I was going down the brook, and there was a hole in there. It was like a little jam there where they couldn't kind of get through very good. I got my limit, I think, right there. They were all walled up in that hole, but it wasn't even dark yet.
Kids in town been going. They were going in the daytime and getting them.
Yeah, I heard that
when they were going good.
Yeah. Yeah, they went by quick. Everything went by quick. So
for the time of year that everyone kind of equates with being kind of slow, there sure is a lot going on between fiddleheads and sheds and smelt and turkey hunting. There's all kinds of stuff to do.
There's plenty of stuff. The thing that I like about it is like the last 2 or 3 weeks there, you take people out shed hunting. There's no friggin' black flies out yet, so you can have a good time in the woods and not have to worry about getting chewed on even a little.
Yeah. I love scouting deer this time of year.
Oh, I do too.
I just can't, I can't stop. I've been on them every day. I think I've been out there.
Yeah. I'm doing it every weekend now with the clinic guys.
You're getting paid for it though.
Yeah.
That was a nice set of sheds that Joe found. And did you find those last week or a couple weeks ago?
Nope,
the deer sheds.
Yeah, last Friday or Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, so
tell that story, Joe.
Yeah, we would so I was shed hunting for moose antlers, and I picked up deer antlers before, but it was always in areas that, that kind of lapse over with winter yards and where the moose are, but it's pretty rare. I haven't picked up a deer shed in a long time. But anyway, I was up on this mountain, and there was still quite a bit of snow up there, believe it or not, last week. It's probably getting pretty close to gone now, but I got up there, and I mean, there was so much moose crap everywhere, you couldn't take a step without stepping in. I mean, they were up there heavy. In fact, I'm surprised I didn't find a moose antler just
in the
bare spots. Yep. Yeah, they were bulls. But anyway, so I was up there on top, and I don't like to stay in those areas too long if there's snow like that because I feel like I'm walking by them, without a dog or something.
Yeah, because the snow up there and it's all green growth.
It's all green growth,
If people don't know, around here you got green on the top and green on the bottom, and your hardwoods is in the middle.
Correct.
So you were up in the softwoods.
I was in the softwoods, yeah. So I was coming down, and I had just come off the top of the mountain, and it was kind of a real pretty wide open area you can see for quite a ways. And I looked down, and there's a deer shed there, nice brown antler. So I pull out my phone and take a picture of it, and went to pick it up, and I looked up about 6 or 8 feet, and there's the other side laying there.
Yep.
10-pointer. Not a big set, but a nice dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Really going to be a really nice one this year.
They
were heavy for.
Yeah, he's rubbing all them spruce. That's how they get dark.
I was gonna say he had to be there when he was rubbing his horns too, because those for Maine, those are dark. Those look like the Ontario antlers.
Yeah,
dark
they
chocolate.
Probably that's his home spot. He likes to stay, but
I could think, and you could tell by where he was bedded right there. It was just perfect spot to bed and kind of look down below. And I just picture him standing up and shaking off a little bit, and the antlers falling off, or something like that.
Yeah, well, that shows you. I've been telling people for years, they all think they go to the deer yards, and people look around the deer yards for shed deer antlers, and you'll find a few, but that ain't where they are. They find a place like that, because I found them spots in the winter. The bed, they get in the same bed every night. Not every night, but every time, because all they do is they lay around and survive. The metabolism goes down, and they'll walk out of that bed, and they usually do it. They know there's enough food for them.
Yeah,
probably some blown down spruce or fir with moss on it, and enough food. And they don't need a lot of food because they're not going anywhere. They just walk out 50 yards and feed a little bit, and they go right back down. They lay in that bed, and it looks like a big deep bathtub there. So he was probably right there where he shed them.
You think it's a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old?
I think it's a 3. That's not a 2-year-old buck. No.
Yeah, too heavy, I thought.
Yeah.
I just thought the size of it was.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old is, they can be like that, or they can be giant. That's the age that.
Yeah, and even you can't even. It's genetics, but that one doesn't have huge pedicles on it. Bases, but sometimes even the old ones don't. It's weird.
But
it
carries out through the,
This year he'll be a nice one. He's going to be a nice-looking buck.
His G3 and one of his brows are broke off.
Yeah. going to snoop around there this fall?
Yeah, I've actually snooped around there in Falls Pass.
Joe,
last time I went up there, I had Steve and I went up, and Steve remembers because I think it was the first morning we went, and he wasn't ready for the cardio workout that day because it was deep snow. But we might be back up there again this year.
Can you share with our listeners, Joe, where this is?
Yep, not far.
Oh, that's close enough.
He only tells people that stuff that come stay at the lodge in the fall, right?
That's right.
That's why I don't get too specific, but I've been telling them we've been finding deer sheds along the river, but down in the Forks you got the Dead River and you got the Kennebec, and they all come in together there. But those last 2 or 3 winters, we've had such easy winters. Instead of all coming to town, a lot of those deer are just staying along the river. Because, I mean, even if they're 4 or 5 miles from town, that's just a pretty short walk for a deer, so they haven't felt the need. And I found more deer sheds in the Forks, not in town, but out on the sides of the rivers. I found more in the last 2 or 3 years than I have in the previous 10. It's crazy.
The thing about that is, it's a good thing, is when they feel comfortable to stay there 1 year because maybe there isn't as much snow, they'll continue to do that. That's how them deer yards get spread out a little bit, Mikey, you found a spot like that, you said too, huh?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and that's quite a ways. I mean, mileage-wise, it isn't, but it's 4 or 5 miles from the deer yard that they stay in.
That place you were talking about, you think there was quite a few deer up in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lots. I knew there would be. That's why I wanted to go up in there, because each year we find more places where they're staying, like Hal was saying. So I went up in there just, with that in my mind, and I wasn't. I mean, the fir trees that came down, there was not one piece of old man's beard on any of them. They cleaned them right up good.
And that's not a huge area either. It's not really. It's just kind of a pocket. And there's more staying in them places than you know about. And they don't come out of there. So I mean, you could run all around them with a snowmobile like we do coyote hunting, and we don't usually see much for deer tracks, anywhere, but they're just in a pocket. They stay in there, and they're designed to do that. That's what they do in the winter. They just feed and lay down and don't travel, and that's how they make it. But
I did notice, I think we talked about it before, but every time I go out, how the wind did us a lot of favors this year, putting a lot of old firs down and old man's beard on it.
Big time.
A lot of feed on the ground.
Yeah, I've been scouting around a little bit too, and I found that there's places, it's kind of strange. It's like the way the wind hit some places. I went through one area, and it was like there'd be like a half an acre that was almost leveled. Every fir tree was snapped off and stuff.
Microburst.
Yeah, because the moose feed on that fir in the winter, so they were eating on that. And then you'd go a little bit, and it'd be some woods. And then you'd hit another spot. It's like it didn't run down through. It just hit certain spots. Like it must be a big gust that hit certain spots. But, yeah, there's a lot of stuff down in the woods.
You notice behind the Forks town office where it hit like that?
I was just going to bring that up. That destroyed that hillside.
Unreal.
That's right.
I'll have to check that on the way back down.
If you look on the left at not the West Forks, but the Forks town office going south on the side of that hill, it looks like a tornado came through there, which
it must
have happened
on the other side of the river too. Because I brought Scott Dale and his crew. We went over on the Pierce Pond side of the river a couple weeks ago, and there's a place that back 5 or 6 years ago, we saw a Boone and Crockett bull down on this little bog on the back side of the river, and we ended up not getting him. But I hadn't been in there since. And it was a beautiful piece of woods around that bog. It was all big fir and spruce. But even some of the spruce, something must have went through there because you can't even walk through that place. And it was a beautiful piece of woods. Now you can't even walk through it because it's just mowed right down. They had some wind up there this winter for sure.
You guys picked many up over in that area?
I told them, because the day before we were north of the river and we found sheds like we always do. But when they told me, they basically wanted to go to a place and scout for deer. They'd never been on the west side of the river there. And so I said, well, I'll take you up in there. So we went up around Pierce and Otter and up in that. But we found a couple of sheds there, which I was surprised because I didn't know how many moose were left up in that area. But like I said, there was some wind up there. And also, Pierce, the ice must have went out on Pierce early because that was a couple weeks ago. And there was guys up there with boats and campers. But I felt really bad when you're going up to Pierce Pond, once you leave the Carey Pond Road and you're headed up there, I don't know who cut it, but both sides of that road going into Pierce is just leveled. And it's one of them places, whatever they didn't cut, they ran over, and you want to talk about a mess. You won't be able to hunt in there for 15 years. It's just crazy. What a mess.
Yeah. Hate it when they do that. But who owns that land?
I'm not sure. I think
be.
Wagner manages it, I think. I don't know who owns it, but I saw any bait signs that we saw up there was those Wagner signs, so they're managing. I don't know who owns it.
Yeah, well.
Anyone been doing any turkey hunting?
Steven?
Yeah. Old guide Mike's been.
All the time.
How about that one you missed, Mike? We didn't really get a story. We just got that little Facebook blurb.
Because I didn't tell you.
You didn't have that old 10 gauge, did you?
No. That I got a when I had it on Facebook that I missed it there. Somebody wrote, "Where's your 10 gauge?"
Yeah. Remember that one you missed with that one year? Remember he was like, I think he was with Bollinger or something. He was like 10 feet from the bird.
Oh yeah,
missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that patent don't spread too much at 10 feet, that's for
Right.
sure. Yeah. But, yeah, we've been down the southern part of the state doing it. And we've been getting them, and there's so many down there. It's crazy, huh? But the black flies are out down there already, that's for sure. And
What about ticks?
The ticks, truth be known, I haven't got that many on me yet. I mean, I'm just lucky probably, because everybody else is complaining about it. But
I forgot to ask Steven if Steven took 2 kids out on Youth Day, and they shot 2 really nice toms, but I forgot to ask him about the ticks. But when Hal and Ryland came down, I gave him some of that permethrin or whatever it is that I had. Did you guys get ticks on you? Or?
I think we sat in them when we sat in a place that had pine needles. Usually that's where you get them ticks. And Ryland a couple times had them on his pants. It's funny, they didn't get on his sweatshirt. He's got one that's kind of it's a camo one. It's a hoodie with the mask built in the hood, but it's shiny material, not shiny, but slippery. And he never would get a tick on the jacket, but his pants was like a kind of dungaree type material, camo, and there'd be ticks on them. They're all wood ticks. No, I didn't see any deer ticks. And but we sat one place, and we both had them then, because usually I got a camo like suit I threw on over my clothes, and that's kind of slippery. And I usually don't get a tick on that, but I did get some on my pants on that, so we must have sat right in a bunch of them. I mean, they weren't horrendous, but we probably picked 6 or 8 off in us each, something maybe.
Yeah, I think Braden and Leah went the other day and said they picked 50 off of them. Or something.
Yeah, no, I never
wow,
got
I know.
anything like that.
That's when it starts taking the fun out of it.
Yeah.
that's half the reason I don't guide anymore, because being out there every day for 3 weeks, I used to guide 3 weeks, and I'd be out there every day for 3 weeks, and it's just, the ticks just it's almost like they enrage you. You get so, they're all
Plus,
over you.
down where you hunt, you must get deer ticks.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the deer ticks up here, but down there they must have a few deer ticks.
Yeah, in fact, I had to pull one off of my back when I got home. I missed it somehow, and then Marie saw it after I got out of the shower, and she pulled it off me. I got a pretty good spot there. I've already had Lyme's disease once, so yeah, that's I don't know. It's just I can't. I hate those things. I'm all set. I don't want to.
At least now they can treat that. It used to be if you got it, you'd be miserable for the rest of your life. But now they can fix it if you get there soon enough.
Yeah, Cam got it, and he gets anxiety periods sometimes from it. And then he has to take the meds,
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere.
Huh.
And all of a sudden, and it's the Lyme's disease that did that.
They tell you now, and they always wanted to test you, and if you got a tick, and now if you had a tick, they just give you the antibiotics. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt you, so it's a safe bet if you take them, you ain't gonna get it. You're supposed to get that right, like within 10 days or something. If you don't catch it in 10 days, it's like worse, So
I worry about getting that Lone Star one where you can't eat red meat if you get it.
We don't have that out here, do we?
Not yet. Well,
no, but they've got them down. I just talked with my client that lives on the Cape. They think they've got those Lone Star ticks there now, because I was telling him my sister-in-law that lived in Missouri, she's got that, and the rest of your life you can't, anything that comes from an egg, like fish and chicken, you can eat it. But if it's born alive, sheep, pig, goats, beef, you eat it and it makes you sick, goes right through you. That's a bad disease.
Holy cow, yeah.
I think my opinion, it has got to be man-made, engineered. Has to be.
Seems like it would be, yeah.
I mean, nature doesn't normally, like just out of nowhere, like all of a sudden this new disease where people can't eat meat, when that's this big push is to, stop eating beef and everything. So
you're probably on to something there. I wouldn't doubt it.
It's just too weird.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Bill Gates is figuring out another vaccine for us because he's one of them anti-meat guys,
Anyway.
Yeah.
Ticks, no good.
Yeah. I took Rylan out day before yesterday. Actually, it was my birthday morning there. He'd been wanting to go antler hunting. I told him we'd go, and we hadn't had time. And so I'm always thinking, when I antler hunt, I just wrote an article about that. When you're in the woods, and I was trying to teach Rylan that, you're always looking, don't get focused on what your task at hand. Like Lee said, he's wanted scouting for deer too. Well, that's what I do. If I'm in the woods, I'm scouting for everything. If I'm moose antler hunting, yeah, you can find a moose antler, but I'm quite frankly looking for deer sign more than anything. So I just took him, we had to go somewhere quick, so I took him to a place. I tracked a couple bucks through this area last year, and in the fall, there was a fair amount of moose rubs. Them big ones they rub on the bigger furs, later on. And I said, maybe we'll run over there and try it, But it's big. It's a big, big area. And I'm like, and last year the antlers didn't get too concentrated anyway. So anyway, we went, and there's a bunch of them trickles in there, them little spring seeps and stuff. And I started seeing brown ash in most of them, And so I told Rylan, I said, we got to walk down these a little bit and look too. I said, because you can find an antler anywhere. I mean, so we started walking them. We'd find some rubs, and here and there. And we'd made a big circle and didn't find any moose antlers. And we kind of was closing the circle back to get back out. And we hit another one of them trickles. I told him we hit the trickle. It was like we crossed an old beaver dam down there, and it was kind of a cool spot. You could see where the animals would cross. It was an old beaver dam, and they just started putting mud on it again. It was holding water. But it was I don't think I ever seen a beaver dam like that below the dam, and I don't know if it's because the dam rotted down over the years and crushed down and got wider, but usually over a beaver dam it's kind of steep, it drops off and it's crappy, but this was like a nice grass area that was solid. You could walk right across, and I could see tracks, deer, moose, everything was crossing there. I was telling Rylan, I said, boy, if you set up on that knoll right there, it'd be a pretty good place to watch. And then we crossed it, and then there was two different trickles coming into it. We'd kind of come down one and come around, and so we walked out from that dam, and we see the other trickle coming in, and we started following it up, got in some alders, and we went up. I started seeing some pretty good sized brown ash, 5, 6, 8, 10-inch ones, and we get up, and it came into an alder patch, thick alders, and the deer don't go into them alders and stuff to make a signpost. So anyways, it was a pretty good place to cross the trickle there, and I got across it, and I happened to look down. It was a little flat there. It went up a little softwood knoll. There was a little flat in there, and I looked over, and bang, there was this beautiful signpost there. And so I turned around, I see it over there. It was over there about 30 yards, and I turned around, I give Rylan the thumbs up. He thought I saw an antler over there. That's all he was thinking about was the antlers, He said, did you see an antler? And I go, no. I said, I see something better, Rylan. We went over and took a couple pictures. A nice, great big one. And the funny thing about that one was usually when you find a good signpost, it started like when it was little. Most of them, they start when they're an inch in diameter, 2 inches in diameter. That's why they're flat to the middle. This one here was probably a 10 or 12 inch brown ash, but it was all scarred up from I'd say it'd probably been rubbed for 20 years. I could kind of look back in the growth rings. And that's when it started. There was no old scar from way back when that thing was little. It was just like I said, probably 20 years ago, probably the scar and went back in there probably an inch and a half or something, And that stuff grows slow. Brown ash is a slow growing tree. I think I said before that one I got the beavers cut down. I got in my basement. It's the base of it the base gets bigger because it's trying to grow above that scar, but maybe that base of that one was maybe 10, 12 inches, but above the scar was only like 6, 8 inches maybe, and that had 80 growth rings in it. Hal here. Just wanted to tell you we're excited about our partnership with Minus 33. Minus 33 specializes in merino wool base layers for outdoor enthusiasts, from tops and bottoms to hats, socks, gloves, and our gear is going to keep you warm and comfortable no matter what adventure you're on, especially those big woods ones. We're a 5th-generation family owned and operated, a New Hampshire woolen textile manufacturer. They have over 106 years of woolen expertise, and they started manufacturing woolen socks, the Mountain Heritage ones, in New Hampshire in 2018, with the idea that a quality product, affordable pricing, and can be worn and loved from season to season, no matter what your experience level or skill is, so no one should feel uncomfortable or ill-prepared in the outdoor community. Having a reliable gear is one of the first steps towards a lifetime of passion or whatever activity it is. And my caveat to that is you got to wear your woolies. Cotton is death.
As you all know, Big Woods Bucks is devoted to promoting the best equipment for tracking and still hunting the big woods. Part of that equation for success is the sights that sit on your hunting rifle. We've chosen Skinner Sights as the company to produce our custom-built BWB Tracker Series peep sight. It's constructed of solid steel, has our custom ghost ring, and was co-developed by some of the best trackers in the world. To get yours, go to bigwoodsbucks.com and click on the optics.
How far back in is it? Is it
it's a ways in. Yeah, it's quite a ways back in, but you wouldn't walk back in there in the morning and try to, which you don't have to be in there in the morning anyway. But the funny part about it was I got thinking about it. I knew I'd gone through there on a couple of bucks, and neither one of them went by that. So I'm kind of interested to. I might have put a trail camera there. So it's kind of interesting because just randomly ended up in there on a track, and that both times I come in from completely opposite directions, like miles apart, but ended up in that piece of wood, going through that piece. So it's interesting anyways. But
Stephen ended up sending Brian Connor, a tech guy. Does Brian have an official title? What's his title?
Yeah, he does. He's a chief marketing officer.
All right, so our chief marketing officer got a hold of Stephen. He wanted a place. He was going to go up and go fishing with Rick Labby, but then he wanted to go shed hunting too, so Stephen gave him some pins. That big buck that Stephen tracked up in Zone 4 last year with his muzzleloader, it went down through this old cut that's, grown up to firs, and there was a bunch of moose sign because it's not too far from our moose camp anyway, but Stephen gave him the pin for that, and Brian went right in the first morning, found 3 nice big antlers, but then he was in a hurry to go up where Joe had told him, so we left and went up, but it's kind of, I'd like to get up there, because I think none of them were matched. I think all 3 of them were different, weren't they?
No, there was one match, but I think he camped there and went to a different spot and spent a whole day. I think he said he walked 12 miles and never found anything. Came back to his camp, and the next morning he got up and just took a little short walk from his tent, found 3 right off the bat, and then he said he didn't see any more signs, so he was going to head north. I think all of us told him, Brian,
you
start finding them. That's your sign.
Yeah,
they were there.
Yeah.
So anyway,
here's your sign.
He was going to head up north further, and I told him I mean there's spots I know were wintering areas before, but I don't know if they stayed there last year or not. But anyway, he went to leave, and his truck wouldn't start. It was just click.
Yeah,
click,
told me.
He said I had the in reach out. He said I was getting ready to in reach you, And he said, I'll try it one last time, and he hit it, and it went. So he decided he better head south instead of north.
Yeah.
He said, would you have come and got me? I said, well, yeah, I'm not going to leave you up there. I wouldn't have been thrilled about it, but yeah, I would have come.
That's what we have to do, yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course, we've never broke down in the woods, have we?
No.
I think I've made a couple of those calls before to Hal.
Well, it was just about this time last year we showed up for a podcast, and Hal said, "Can I get you to do me a favor?" And I said, "Well, I usually do you favors." He said, "I got to go up to the lake." He said, "My truck's up there." He said, "I walked 12 miles?"
Yeah.
Walked 12 miles a day before because he got his truck
that's
stuck.
right.
And so we went up, and that thing was buried. That was his old power wagon there. But yeah, those are those days. You know, when you're up in the woods like that, most of the time you're hoping that you don't see anybody, but then you're broke down. You hope you do, and walk 12 miles to hitch a ride.
Oof, yeah. That was a bad one.
I can't remember. So, we got the truck out, but as I remember, we brought your Ram Charger up and hooked onto it, but we didn't just pull it right out. We had to do some finagling.
Put the rocks on. Yeah, because it was in one of them. I should have known. I knew better.
Sunk right to the X's.
I knew better than drive in there. It's always soft there in the spring. It's the frost. Everything, the water and stuff leaks down into the lake there. It's kind of a landing, but it ain't really much of a landing there. And I drove down in, and I looked at it, and I go, yeah, that looks all right. And it sunk.
Yeah.
I went in there, and it was in that Puss Pocket, and there's no bottom to it. You know?
Puss Pocket.
Yeah, that's just what
every once in a while you come out with these terms.
Yeah.
The old Puss. I'm glad it seems that everything's dried out.
Oh,
pretty
geez,
good
yeah.
now. We're in good shape now, which I'm always glad we get through that part.
There was Joey Fountain was grading the Moose River Road a couple days that day, Monday there. I don't know if I ever seen him grading the road this time of year. Early in May, you know. What is it? Still before the 15th, early May.
Did he go from this end, do you know?
Yeah, he started in. He was he was up to the town line road turning around.
I see him setting up his grader there. I was wondering what he was going to do.
Yeah. That's early for grading roads around here.
Sure is. Holy cow.
The frost is pretty much, they trucked heavy on that road, and there was only one place out there about mile, the heck was that? Beyond 3. Somewhere's out there that you could see it was still leaking up into the road a little bit there, the frost coming out.
Moose River Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That crown there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one place, so the rest of it's.
Wonder when he's going to grade the Demo Road.
Why is it bad? Oh yeah. No, I know.
What a mess.
Yeah. You mean down there where George Washington crossed the Potomac?
Across the Moose River?
Yeah, that derailment made a mess down there, but
well,
they're getting it cleaned up.
Yeah, they'll fix
getting
it
the
up.
road built.
What did they figure? What they figure they lost for fuel out of that? A lot.
I didn't see.
Well, it was just the engines. It wasn't
just
wasn't fuel tankers. It was
it
was whatever was in the engines. Yeah.
None of those chemical cars made it to the wreck. They all stopped before they. You know what I mean?
Right. They didn't.
Nice.
It was all lumber.
Yeah,
that
lumber
and
and stuff like that.
But it was. It was probably the worst place it could ever happen as far as.
Yeah, it was.
Right on the edge of the lake with a stream.
Middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Just a tough place. Not that any place is good for derailment, but that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
I guess that was a hairy ride, according to the guy in the train there.
You think?
I can imagine.
He said he looks and there's no tracks. He said, "What are you doing?" And that was that.
Whenever you got a bunch of weight on behind you, I can remember I came home. I took my camper up deer season one year, and I had a little short box Ford, which, it wasn't even a crew cab. It was just, it was like a Ford Bronco, basically. And them little short wheelbases like that, and then you got a 26 or 28-foot camper on the back, and you're coming down them roads when they're slippery, and it's pushing you the whole way. I hate that feeling, because you know that you're not really in control. You're just hoping for the best. You must have had some hairy rides when you pulled your trailer in with your short box Dodge back in the day when you used to go in there.
Yeah.
Because like I said, them heavy trailers, they'll push your truck right around.
Well, the worst one was, I tell you the story about buying that old camper. I think I told that story, yeah. That was the worst one because that was heavy. It was actually one of the original mobile homes. It was an 8x32 mobile home. And I was towing that with my short box Dodge pickup with a drop hitch. I had a guy, when I was in the Marine Corps, one of the guys down the shop made it for me so I could tow my belongings back when I got out because I had that 4-inch lift on that, and I needed a drop hitch. And he made this one out of, I think it was a piece of channel. It was heavy. I mean, it was heavy that way, and it was dropped down a foot, and then back then there really wasn't any reese hitches, really. So I made it so it bolted to the bumper. Remember all the old bumpers had the 3 holes in them? So it had a big bolt that went through the center where the ball would go, and then he made 2 flat steel pieces. They were pretty rugged. They were probably at least 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch steel, and they bent, and those each bolted in the other 2 holes. So I had 3 bolts in it, but it dropped so much that it would, when you went to go, it had some give to it in the bumper because that bumper plate was probably 1/2 inch steel or something.
Sounds safe.
Yeah. Well, I towed my belongings back in it. I moved myself because you could make more money than having, a moving company move you. The Marine Corps would pay for it. So I rented that 6x12 U-Haul and hitched onto that. And I'd bought furniture. We just got married, and we'd bought furniture down there because it was cheap in North Carolina. And we had it in a storage place, and we filled that. We had all our belongings in there. And I remember I had a chest freezer with all my deer meat in it. And I got on. You had to weigh it because they paid you by the weight, I guess, or something. I get on the scales there, and it was 10,500 pounds.
In a 6x12?
Yeah, and the truck weighs what? What's them trucks weigh? 4,000 or something, probably. Yeah. So I had the trailer weighed 6,000 something pounds.
No trailer brakes, I'm sure.
No trailer brakes.
No.
Oh man, and I almost lost it. I was coming up. It was nighttime, and I was in, I think, New Jersey, and I was coming down a long grade because I'd only been driving about 55 because you started more than 55, and the trailer would start weaving on you. Well, I started down this grade, and I should have slowed down before I really started down the grade. I should have been applying some brake, but again, there was no brakes on the trailer. Well, it got ahead of me a little bit. I got her up to about 60, and and I can't slow down now.
You got to make it real easy, yeah.
I'm pushing, I'm tapping the brake and trying to slow it down, and I ain't slowing down, and that trailer got going. And it was taking up 3 lanes. I could feel it yanking me. The trailer would go over in the lane beside me, and I'm fighting it all the way. And it was the weirdest feeling because it was like you said, Lee, I didn't have any control. I was doing the best I can, but the trailer was doing what it wanted to, and it was whipping back and forth into both lanes beside me. And I just kept on it and applying the brake a little more, and maybe the grade got less or something happened, and it finally come out of that. Well, I thought we were gone.
That's scary when that happens.
Yeah, that'd have been
enough
wreck.
tongue weight and start.
Oh,
yeah. What happened to me was, and this is how stupid you are when you're young. I got my camper on the back of that truck, and this was up in Cucajo area, which is flatter than it is over here. But there's places where there's hills, and we'd got early snow, and we were heading out of there. And I can remember I had a bunch of gear in the back of that short box, and I had a deer on the top of it. And that thing started pushing me around. Well, when we're coming down this hill, there's one little bridge that you got to cross, and it's only room for one, it's one lane. If somebody's coming the other way, you ain't getting across it. And instead of worrying about dying or going off the bridge or whatever, when it started whipping me, I saw in my rear view that the head started flopping around on the back of that. I was worried about losing the deer. I wasn't worried about dying. I was worried about my deer coming over in that trailer running over my deer.
Priorities were right anyway.
And I remember one time we were headed north, and the guys were pulling in the trailer, and we were riding behind them, and he says to me when we get there, he goes, "That trailer started, didn't you see it? It was going all over the place." I says, "Next time he does that, you just floor it." I says, "You'll come right out of it," right? So on the way home, it started happening. So he says to me, he goes, Mike, that floor in it don't work, you know. I go, you didn't really do that, did you? He goes, yeah. And he takes me out, and I guess the guardrail, he rubbed up against the guardrails with the camper. It was all, tore everything off one side of it, huh? So I guess that doesn't work, the floor. But I said, you fool. I didn't.
So you were turkey hunting.
Oh,
you
want to hear
started.
that story? Yeah.
Where? He was turkey hunting?
Well, I wasn't really. I was taking Rylan, my grandson, there.
Oh, okay.
Been wanting to go. Yeah. The kid, all he wants to do is be in the woods anyways. You know that, if you know him. And homeschooling is the best thing for him because he's learning, but he's learning the stuff that's interesting too, you know what I mean? But he's doing pretty good. He's doing a lot better than he was because he's just like his father, Gary. Hated school because it was boring to him. You know what I mean? It didn't engage him, and that's Ryland's exactly the same way. So, yeah, anything in the woods. So we was going to go that first Monday, and we had all that hurricane wind and rain there. So I said, let's wait till next week. It looked better because that first week of the season was going to be kind of rainy. So Rick said to come down his place there, and he'd show me around. And so we went down Sunday afternoon and met up with Rick at his shop there in his house, and he showed me some places we see some birds and kind of made a plan. I'd never hunted there before. Then we went over and stayed at the Shands camp, camped out, and so in the morning we'd gone into he said I ought to go into his camp. Now we didn't go in there, so he's got a camp. I don't know. It's back in, and he's got the gate closed because it's this road is soft. He said, and it was. You couldn't get a vehicle in there. That was it's just like one of them old bulldoze roads that the water stays in the frost. But anyway, me and Ryland went over there and we walked into his camp. He's got a nice little field there, and we sat there, and just about daylight, an owl started hooting. I go, something's going to happen here pretty quick. And then two owls, and they was back and forth. And then we could hear a coyote over on the next ridge howling, a couple yipping, and then the crows started. You know, it was just one of them mornings, you know, you like. And never heard a peep, never heard a gobble. We waited around. We hung around probably 15, 20 minutes, you know, and then it was light enough. It was one of them, because we had the full moon right then too, so it really wasn't even dark when we walked in. The moon was full, you know, and nothing. I told Ryland, I said, well, let's hunt, you know, this woods back through. We'll hunt the road and the side roads and the woods and stuff. And we headed back, and we didn't get very far, and got an answer down in on one side. So we set up there and called again. They called. They were closer. So I could hear two of different ones, and ended up three came in. It was three jakes, and he didn't want to shoot the jakes, so we let them go, and we hunted around more, and there really wasn't much of a sign there at all, you know, in the roads and stuff. And so we hunted our way out, never heard a thing. Went over to another place. We'd seen a bird the night before in a field, and went by, and sure enough, they're out there. And so we kind of snuck in the way they were headed across the field, just feeding. There was a tom and a couple of jakes, I guess, and 2 or 3 hens, and we got over in front of the way they were headed, and we were right in the sun. And I was telling Ryland he had to sit still. I see the jakes come up over the hill there, and they were looking, you know. And so, anyways, Ryland's a little fidgety sometimes. So finally, he spooked them, and they went down over. And so I said, well, I don't think they're too spooked. We'll go up around. There was a stone wall with some trees in a hidden field, and we get up around there and got set up again, and that he'd gobble. I'd call once in a while, and he'd gobble. I said, they're probably going to come back out in the field down there, and maybe they'll come up. And I got one of the Montana strutters in a hen, and I put them was a tractor trail gap in the wall, like right beside us. They had 10 yards from us or whatever. And I'd call once in a while. Then this Jake come out down there and was working his way up. And I said, we probably see something pretty quick, Ryland. They'll probably all come out. All of a sudden, right behind us, and I mean, it was like right behind us. And so he didn't move. gobbled again, and I'm turning my head slowly. We had a little bit of cover, and I look, and there's 3 longbeards. And they get over to the decoy. They was zeroed. They didn't see us. They was zeroed right in on that strutter decoy. And they started jumping up and kicking at it. And they'd gobble, and they'd jump up and kick at that thing. And I said, Rylan, get your gun up there. It was a way where he could swing. He's right-handed. And he puts a gun up and starts swinging around. And he goes, I can't shoot. There's stuff in the way. I go, that stuff ain't going to bother you. Just shoot. No, he goes, he said, if I shoot, I'll miss. He's always worried about that, I tried to tell him, if you don't shoot, you ain't getting them anyway, might as well give it a whirl. Because they were close, they were like, by now they'd moved kind of the other side of them. They were nervous by then, because when they were kicking at that thing, they knew something wasn't right. It's just a shadow. It's just a silhouette anyway. And anyways, he didn't shoot. So they wandered off and come back around. I said, they'll probably go through the wall and come in the field. And I called again. They answered, and they did. But when I see them, they knew something wasn't right. And they started down the field, and I forgot he'd only had a 20 gauge. And they were probably 50 yards, which for me, with my 12, I've shot them out to 60, 65. And I said, yeah, they're in range. Go ahead. And he started wailing at him. And I realized they was a little out of range, and he was peppering them, So we didn't get them, but anyway, fun day.
Back down again, right?
Yeah, we'll go Monday again. Give it.
You haven't hunted around here at all?
No, I haven't had time. You know what I did on my birthday? I took him in the morning. We went on that scouting mission and found that signpost, and then I had the honeydew list a mile long. I'm out. Me and Rylan were both out getting our garden ready to plant stuff. So. Raking, and what I've been, because I don't have a lot of days in these clinics. I got to get ready Thursdays.
So you've been through 2 clinics now?
Yeah, I'm heading in tonight for the 3rd one. And so basically it ties up 4 days, or part of the 4 days. And then, so I got 3 days to get my other stuff done. So
let me know. I'll take them if you need be.
Yeah, later on. We'll see. We're going to go, I told them we'll go down Monday again and
oh, by the way, that reminds me, when you called me and told me you left the coffee pot on out in the camp, I'm like, holy crap, I better go out and turn the coffee pot off, because it'd been on all day. I was worried about, friggin' electrical fire or something. So I rushed out and checked it. Well, it was plugged in, but it was cold, and so I unplugged it and dumped what was left of the coffee out. And I said something to my wife. She said, well, those new coffee pots have an automatic shut-off. If you leave them in...
I wondered that.
So it did. It ended up, I don't know how long it stayed on, but it shut itself. I was worried about going out and finding half my friggin' camp burnt down with a coffee
pile
pot.
Of ashes.
And Kelly said, no, those new ones, they shut themselves
I figured
off.
It did. Mine does at home. Mine will go off in probably 15, 20 minutes if you don't do anything, maybe a half an hour, whatever it is.
So if you leave it on next week, don't worry about it. It'll shut itself off.
Clinics have gone good?
Yeah, they're going good. They're always good. It's always a great bunch of guys that come and they go good.
How bad was your tent situation there? Was it any big deal?
Oh no, it was that was just the cook awning. It was nothing. We just picked it up, and I just couldn't get it. I went in and checked on it, and by myself I couldn't get it. Deb couldn't do nothing. She rode with me, but because you gotta like have a few guys get it lifted up and straightened out. So I just got it where it wasn't going to, rip the top part
Get
of it.
worse, yeah.
And it didn't rip anything. It bent one of the purlin poles, I think, was bent. And I got all kinds of spares. I just brought one in. And we drove in and we picked it up and had it all squared away in about 15 minutes.
So what do you have, 3 more weekends on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this weekend, and then they're all in a row. And then I got my first all-gals one next weekend.
You need any help with that?
What do you want to cook, or just take care of the fires?
Yeah, give Candace some time off.
Yeah, I'll cook.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, did Candace catch any trout up there yet?
I can't tell you. You have to ask her.
The reason why is I said something when we were down at the sportsman show there. Well, it was that night when everybody was up at the camp there, and we were all inside my camp, and I said something to Candace about, I'm going to go up and fish that no-name pond sometimes. She said, "You stay away from that. That's my pond," she said. So she's pretty protective. So I figured she might have caught some good ones.
Yeah, she went both mornings, but it was windy. The breeze come up and it was windy, but she did catch 4 that were like 17, 18 inches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Talking about Gary and Ryland being like Gary.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Gary was in high school. He didn't like school. You're right.
Yeah.
And
Gary's my son. Ryland's my grandson. So everybody knows. Yeah.
So I'd go pick up Gary. I'd go up to go baiting. Well, of course, Gary missed the bus every day.
Oh yeah.
Never made the bus. What am I doing wrong, Joe?
Nothing. I was just saying, get closer. You were
Can anybody? Can them people hear me?
There.
I can hear you.
Okay. So anyway, Gary jump in my truck, I'd say, "I'll give you a ride to school, Gary." All right, he goes. He'd fire up a cigarette. And he'd be like 15 years old. I'd say, "Geez," he goes, "You won't tell Hal, will you?" I go, "No, I won't tell him."
Well, yeah. So Deb caught him that morning. Do you remember that?
What, smoking?
Yeah. So Deb used to. After she got done breakfast for the guys in November, she'd go down and sit across the road or something. Remember she shot that buck
right
across
too.
the
Yeah,
road?
yeah.
Well, there was a buck crossing the road, like right by the driveway. It would come up out of that piece down below, and was crossing the road there. So she went down. It was still, just getting light. She went down and sat there, and she's sitting there a little bit, and she can hear Gary coming down, clomping down the driveway to go to school because he used to have to walk all the way down to the corner to get the bus. And he gets down, he's got his hoodie up and stuff, and he gets down there, and he gets down the end of the driveway, and all of a sudden he stops, and she sees smoke coming out from his hoodie.
It was the frost.
So she didn't say nothing. He never knew she was there. She was hunkered in somewhere there, and he never knew it, So when he got home from school that day, she said something to him about it. She goes, "Hey," he said, "How come you're smoking cigarettes?" He goes, "I'm not." Because that's the first reaction to a kid, deny it, right? She says, "That's kind of funny. I saw you this morning down there, light one up down the end of the driveway." So he was all sheepish then, So anyway.
Oh, was it smoking days?
Yeah.
He was a good runner, though. Good cross-country
Yeah.
runner. Gary was very good.
Yeah, he would just...
Smoking Gary Blood, that's what they called him.
Yeah, he thought he was... I think he thought he was cool. He was in that phase. He was 15, 16, they're all cool and stuff. But, yeah, Ryland's got no interest in that. The funny part about it is I always wondered, but he hangs around with the guys. He lives down the trailer park, and there's, guys there and stuff. But he hangs around with the older crew, and I think it's better for him.
Oh, yeah.
I did that when I was younger. When I started hunting down the lodge, I was 16, and everybody was in their 30s and 40s. And, you hear the language and you hear stuff, but I don't know. I think in a way you learn a lot from the older people,
Yep.
But he hangs out with a guy named Ken down there. It's his neighbor there, and he takes him doing stuff, fiddleheading. He does all that stuff, so he always invites Ryland to go. And that day I took Ryland on the snowmobile this winter, we ended up taking that first trip on his new snowmobile there, and we ended up on Holub, and that Ken and some other guys were ice fishing there. So we pulled up, and I started talking to Ken, and one of his flags went up just down there. He goes, "Ryland, go get that." So Ryland went down and ended up catching like an 18, 19-inch splake or something. But so I was just sitting talking to Ken when he went down. He goes, "Boy, that's a good kid right there. He's a good kid, So I like that and stuff. And then one of the other guys was there too. And when we come back, we get down. I rode back. We all rode back together there, and one of the other guys said the same thing. I stopped because I was leaving to go back home, and I just asked him if he'd make sure Ryland got up to trailer park there with his machine, and he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Boy, that's a really good kid you got there, And I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah, it's all about the woods for him. It's like he he reminds me of everything because you got to keep track of it. Like yesterday, he calls me up and he goes, I think the fiddleheads might have gone by. And I go, why do you say that? He said, we took a ride down the Addian Road and they're already up down there in the Addian Road. And I said, Rylan, I really don't think they've all gone by yet. Well, we're going to go check tomorrow. He said, me and Ken are going to go check up the fish pond tomorrow and make sure. He's got a pot up there we go to. I go, okay. Said the same thing about smelts. He said,
I don't want to miss it.
Yeah. Dougie Worcester shot that turkey. I knew that right off. Ryland texted me. No, he calls me. He calls me on the phone. He's got his new iPhone now, So now he calls more and stuff. The other phone he had, there was some kind of a deal. It was one of them, like how the aftermarket phone things, they only can work if there's enough room on the tower, What are they called? It's
like the track phone?
Yeah, like a track phone type thing as he had. And so anyways, he calls me, right? He calls me up. He goes, Doug Worcester shot a turkey, 23 pounds with 10-inch beard. I go, yeah. I said this summer.
We got to go. We got to go.
He keeps me informed on everything to do with hunting and fishing around town. He's got to keep me informed on this.
So did he get that bird up here, up near town somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, Newton Field.
Shot it by the hangar at the airport.
Yeah, that's a
Oh, did he?
Yeah, probably your hangar.
Yeah. He used your hangar for cover.
Yeah, he stuck around the hangar and got it.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's a big, heavy bird.
Yeah, 23 pounds for up here is big,
That's big for anywhere.
Yeah, must have been got plenty of grain in there where they were feeding the deer this morning,
I'm mounting it. I'm mounting the fan and the beard for him now, and I can take that fan and put it right over a 20-pound bird that I shot, and that fan covers that fan by 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Steven said
huge.
that one of those birds that his kids got last week, it was special in 2 ways. It had almost like a white band. He said it was really white, creamy colored band, but then it had like 1.5-inch spurs, which, and it had hooks on it.
That's a 3-year-old bird all day long.
Yeah.
Huh?
So
probably more.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know.
Great.
I've shot all kinds of big. When you said 23 pounds, I shot one, Jonathan Parker, the guy that's a game warden now. He was with me once back when we first started turkey hunting. I don't know. It had to be close to 20 years ago. We were over there where you and I hunt over in Pittsfield, and I shot a 23-pounder over there, but he didn't have much for a beard. It looked like his beard was broke off, and I think we've talked about this before, but somebody said if they drag him in those manure pits, they'll get rotten and stuff, but he had a kind of a short beard, but it was like a paintbrush. It was wide but short. But then the other thing was he only had like 3/4-inch spurs, so great big bird with not much for spurs. I've never shot one with 1.5-inch spurs.
Yeah, those
and long hooks.
Usually, when the beards get like that, you can see like a rust colored on the tips of them when they do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard from Braden the other day that deer we talked about that his dad shot, that big typical, ended up being number 1 in the state.
Nice.
Yep.
Mastic.
Yeah.
Good for him.
173 and 2/8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big shout out to that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Giant.
Yeah. And Jameson's that new fellow that's going to guide this fall. His was that number 5 in the state last year, I think.
And looking at just pictures, I would have definitely thought, I think just because of the mass, that Jameson's would have scored more.
Yeah.
But Dennis's was just so perfect. I mean, just
yeah, you get
big,
more.
long, nice
you get
tines.
more score off of the length of the tines.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. If you got short points, even if it's heavy and stuff, they're not going to score like a long tined one will.
Well, you look at the world record, that Milo Hansen buck. It's absolutely perfect, and it's long and wide, but it don't have a lot of mass.
No, I don't think there was a circumference over 5 inches on that. It was a young deer. It was like a 4.5-year-old deer.
Imagine if that thing had got older and got some mass to go along with everything else. Because you don't know, he might have grown some odd points too, which would have deducted. But if he had some mass to go with everything else, whew.
Yeah, I think this fall, because we had that good winter again, and they got out so quick. It was crazy how quick the deer got out this year.
they're
like
everywhere too.
Yeah, I had
them while we're out shed hunting.
Yeah, the 2 migration trails, I think I already mentioned it, but they had left April 13th and April 16th. They were already, one was one of them migration trails is 10 miles out, and the other is 6 miles out, and it was the 13th and the 16th of April. It's been a long time since they got out of the deer yards that quick. And then we had the green up. It's already getting pretty green, but I mean, by early May, there started to be some stuff peeking up out of the ground, green stuff they could get,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Where they cross Gander Stream there on the bridge when they leave town.
Yeah.
That was covered with tracks there around I think it was the 14th of April.
Yeah.
When I noticed that, they were leaving there like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They were out of there. Holy cow.
But
Same thing at the house. That one trail I got that crosses the road, it'd be nothing to look out there during the night and see 15, 20, just going, headed out,
Yeah, and I think that's going to make this year, that'll help the antler growth, because that's what really, the antler growth comes after the body gets back in shape, but yeah, we should see some good racks this year.
You fill those spots for this year?
Which ones?
Deer season, you had a couple.
No, we still got plenty of room, actually, the first week. I think people just thinking, it's the way, because the way the season rolls, it's kind of early this year. It's October 30 it starts. 30-31 is the first 2 days. And so I think subconsciously, and again, people, because last year we had a warm first 2 weeks, I think people's reluctancy about that, but it don't matter. Every year's different.
Never know.
It was kind of funny. I just watched, and I got a few I've booked some of the Thanksgiving week ones, but I still got a couple more for that, I guess. But anyways, I was watching. Part of what we do in the clinic is I show some of my films there, and then they can ask questions about them. It's our entertainment night. We last weekend it was kind of funny, not to get off track, but we brought Candace had reminded me we did it the year before. I'd forgot. I bring a table in, and I bring a TV, and I hook it to the computer and show the stuff. We brought it outside, and we were sitting around the campfire. It was like an amphitheater outside there. It was pretty fun. Guys like it. But anyways, I was watching this. One of the ones I clicked on there to watch was that one that you and Jonah dragged out, my SOS buck, I call it. When my inReach went off, remember? Well, anyways, I had kind of forgot, I was watching and I go, yeah, that's right. I shot that one pretty early. And I shot that buck, and it was first Tuesday of the season, and I think that was October 28th and maybe 29th. So that year it opened.
That was probably 180 pounder, right?
Yeah, that's the one you thought was 180. Yeah, Joe says it's 180. It was 227.
I told you. I look at deer on the ground. I thought mine was 180 this year too. 180 is always the number.
Well, you don't want to overestimate, but I knew I can usually tell if I'm iffy. I know if it's over 2 when I pull it. All I got to do is once I get it gutted and I just pull it a little bit, I can.
You were taking video that day?
Yeah, that's how I set the SOS off. I think because I used my pack. I set my pack on a stump and I was pushing it around. The inReach was on and it was in the back pocket.
Yep.
And it wasn't in the.
Has that one ever been up on the YouTube?
I don't know. I don't know if he's got to that one yet.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I videoed that whole thing. That's a good hunt, really. I videoed the whole thing, start to beginning. But anyways, I remember I was watching. And I go, and I could see in the video, the beech leaves are still on. They're not even brown yet. They're still yellow.
Right.
So I knew it was early, and when I'm wrapping up the day there after I'd shot him, I'm like, yeah, it's October. And I look at my watch. I go, it was either 29th or something. So and we had the snow already on the ground for almost a week.
Yeah.
The snow was on the ground before the season opened, because I remember that year, Residence Day, I hunted on snow, and I almost got that big one. I almost got a real one that was probably around 250. I just couldn't quite. He jumped into the firs when he jumped up, and I didn't get a shot. But, yeah, we had snow from the beginning, and then I think it melted off a few days later.
We lost it that year.
Yeah, usually the first week most of the time we're going to lose it. But boy, we can get them early snows. And
Well, I think last year we didn't, but the previous 2 years we had snow the first week both years, I think.
we had
right?
snow, 3 out of 4 years I hunted on snow at least a day or so the first week. 3 out of 4 years here. And so
and
we
then
don't
you go to the third week and you get hard, crunchy conditions and stuff. You never, it's a luck of the draw.
Yeah, the guys were asking me last weekend. I think most of the time they ask me what my favorite week to hunt is, and I always say the first week if there's snow. If there's snow the first week, it's the best week to hunt because they got their weight. Plus,
They're not moving as much.
they ain't going anywhere. Can catch up to them pretty quick the first week.
Yeah, if you ever hope to kill a 300-pound deer, it's probably going to happen the first week.
Yeah. So,
And
but anyway.
this year, is this the year that we're going to have 2 weeks in between the moose seasons?
No, I don't know. It's
only 1 week?
It's 1 week.
Okay.
And it's going to benefit us a little bit because it backed up. So the second season is going to be
earlier.
a little earlier.
Okay,
I think
so
the
maybe it's
second
next year
season
it
is
goes to 2 weeks in
is like
between.
the 8th or something.
Yeah.
That's going to help.
It'll help. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, good conversation, guys.
Who says?
I had fun, Mike. You didn't have fun?
Yeah, I had a really good time.
Mike always has a good time. Yeah. So,
deer clinic this week.
deer clinic
I'm
this
done.
week. Turkey hunt on Monday with Ryland and all of that stuff. So, yeah. Oh, I remember you said, I think on the last one I said something about we're doing a thing with some of the Onyx people that Onyx sponsor. One of them is they're going to do an article, Field and Stream, and a writer for Field and Stream's doing an article about big woods bucks. I think it's a 3-part or a series of 3 articles trying to get people back interested in, hunting, instead of just sitting, out hunting in the woods and stuff. So that's going to be fun. I got to take that guy, young fella from New York, a little bit this fall, do some stuff on bare ground and then do some stuff tracking. And then the other one is a guy coming, Onyx is sponsoring his film about, using the Onyx, but about different hunts and stuff. So that's a muzzleloader season. So
Yeah. And also, I wanted to mention everyone that reached out to me with messages on ammo. I appreciate it. I've got the situation solved. I'm going to be reloading. So I found some TTSX bullets and
Kind of
go
get you
that
set
route.
right up.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You didn't bring my gun back today, did you? I'll pick it up.
Nope, I didn't.
I'm not in any rush for it, but I figured I'd grab it if you had it here.
Yeah. No, I should have grabbed it when I went out, but then I also left, I was supposed to be bringing something up for Matt, and I left that too, so.
Yep. Couldn't get Matt for the day.
No, he was running in early. He's working in on the,
You tell him next time he better.
and we'll tie him down.
Yep.
We'll get him. That's going to be an entertaining one.
I've never
Yeah.
done a podcast with Matt, but he's got a lot of.
Well,
he must have a lot
He's
of
never
stories.
done one.
We've
never
been
done
trying
one.
to get him on here for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And Joe's finally wearing him down. I think it's something to do with he's taking him moose hunting this fall in Alaska.
I'm actually surprised he went, that he took the time. Matt's hard.
Yeah. I think he's getting to the age now. We all, I did this, you finally decide, I better do some stuff when I'm younger,
Yeah.
Because he's a hard worker. I mean, the kid's
he
always
goes.
working, I think he must be 40. He just turned 40.
I think he just turned.
Yeah,
I think he
because
did.
I know
Yeah.
Gary's 39 and he was a
Yeah.
year older than Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He's a machine.
yeah, he said no. He said no at first. He just stopped, and then I talked to him the next time, and he said, "Geez, Roxanne was really said I should go," and so I said, "Well, I'll call me back tomorrow, or whatever." So anyway, I'm really happy he's going. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. He'll have the time of his life out there doing that,
Yeah.
seeing
I'm glad
something
you got
different.
somebody going that's got some ears. That'll help you.
Hey, so the one thing that will be a little bit different is, anyone that knows Matt knows that when he's on his off time, it's a Budweiser in his hand. Well, he said it's been a difficult switch over. He said
Jeez, none
Miller
of us
Lite,
knew that.
Coors Light. switching from Budweiser to something else. And
What's he on now? Miller Lite or something? Or
He
Coors?
tried.
I bet he's Coors.
I think he tried, but he said he's got to go to Coors Original.
Coors
Yeah,
Original, yeah.
He's not on Bud no more?
No.
Kidding me. Holy cow.
Yeah. No.
I think those hardcore guys could change no matter what.
Yeah,
happened.
I think
Matt.
they're all jumping ship from Bud now.
Boy, that cost him some money.
But
What a good idea, huh?
but yeah, we were
Brilliant
already
marketing.
planning for our trip, so we're gonna have our little nip at night. So trying to figure out what's.
I'll have to let him know that he'll have to keep his eye on it. You'll be tapping that thing whenever he ain't looking.
You got to rephrase that. Christ. If you ever say that again, I'll punch you right.
You know what a good one is get some ginger brandy. That's a nice evening.
Ginger brandy. I was thinking more like bullet bourbon.
That's good stuff.
No, brandy's good stuff to have around camp. Yeah.
Was that the one we bought that time up to Ontario? Woody and I?
think so.
Holy cow, that was a story. You weren't there that year.
I think they drank the
I
whole
wasn't there
bottle
the
before we
first
got
year.
back to camp.
Yeah, it snowed like 2 feet, huh? And so even Hal
a bunch of times.
Even Hal didn't want to hunt, if that tells you anything. Well, them and the cameras were getting wet, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, so Woody and I and Marcus and Kevin, we decided we're going to Vermilion Bay and we're going to find a liquor store. So we go that way, and Hal and Deb and the rest of them go the other way, and we find a liquor store, and we get a 40 of, it was apricot brandy.
Apricot.
Apricot brandy. We get a 40 of that. God. So we get out in the truck, and
That's wanting to drink.
I get in the back, and I take the cap off, and I throw it out the window. And Kevin goes, "You know what that means, right, guys?" Means we're drinking the whole bottle. And we did. We drank the whole bottle on the way back to Steve's camp there. Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, that had to be the first year if Deb was there, because I went the second year. Deb went the first year, and then I went the second year. And
Woody kept saying, "The old man's going to be proud when we get back there." He kept saying that all the way back.
I'd have been upset you threw the cap out the window.
No, didn't need the cap.
yeah, but when it gets right down to it, Joe will lick the cap when the rest of it's gone.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, we got to go.
Yep.
I got to get packed up for camp.
I'm going turkey hunting. I'm leaving like right now.
All right.
I'm going to go back and see my grandsons.
I'm going to do yard work.
All right. Well, everybody,
Lucky you, Joe.
thanks for tuning in. And again, hope you support our sponsors and join us on Facebook and subscribe to YouTube and all of that stuff. Ding the bell, notifications. Oh, I know one thing I can say is I think any day now that map and compass course is going to come on YouTube. Brian, I think, has got it about wrapped up. We were supposed to have it out last fall. It was supposed to go on. I told people, but anyways. So until next time, good luck on the trail.
Hi everyone, team member Mark Sheeran here. I've been helping people solve their addictions for the last 34 years. In 2017, we published the revolutionary non-12-step book, The Freedom Model for Addictions. If you'd like a free paperback copy sent directly to you, go to freebook.freedommodel.org. That's freebook.freedommodel.org. All right, take care.
Hey guys, Joe here. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lake Parlin Lodge. We're a four-season lodge located just south of Jackman. We've got cabins, lodge rooms, mini lodge. We're a big snowmobile destination in the winter, full restaurant, bar, all the amenities that you need for your trip. Open all obviously through the summer, right on the lake. Kayaks, canoes, all included with the cabin. We also do a lot of weddings, so if you're looking for a destination wedding, we can do a wedding up to 200 people. And, of course, we've got our hunting season, moose season, deer season. So check us out. We're at lakeparlinlodge.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, good luck on the trail.